Good evening, morning, afternoon, whatever time it is you're watching this. It's obviously looking out the window late at night here, still at work. Um, I had a customer ask me today about he's buying some hardware kits for his, I think it's a 40 Ford, asking me how we produce this stuff. Somehow he was told that we bought Roy Naspa's hardware business back, I think, 6 years ago. And somehow he had the assumption that we just got 55-gallon drums full of new old stock hardware and we're selling off that. Well, that's not how Roy did it. It's not how we did it or do it currently. So I thought I'd just show you guys, in case you want to tackle this on your own in a restoration, how we do it. There are a few bolts, these three in particular, that we outsource. These two, I order 40,000 pieces at a time. This one, 2,500 pieces at a time. So for kits that use these a lot, or it's good selling kits, it makes sense to outsource it. All three of these are made local in our town at a company that has a CNC screw machine. So it makes sense to outsource these. But there is a minimum quantity. And for slower selling kits, we do everything else in house. So here's a good example. This is one of several things I'm doing tonight. This is a 3536 Ford rear radius rod to axle housing bolt. That's what I'm making tonight, as well as a couple other things. Given I have two hands, not three, and a lot of the processes require both hands, I'm not going to be able to film the process start to finish. But I lay in bed late at night when I can't sleep, looking for eBay or wholesale sites or anywhere I can, obsolete hardware. And one thing I'm looking for on partial thread bolts like this are bolts that have, can't get my camera to focus. These are old obsolete bolts. I got a box of them from the website. They weren't cheap, but I think I got 200 of them. And these have cut threads instead of rolled threads. So modern bolts, the threads are rolled. The threads are larger than the non-threaded portion. Back prior to, I think, 1963, this is how they were. Nowadays, if you buy a partially threaded bolt and you look at it, the threads are actually larger than the non-thread portion because the threads are rolled. So these were a good find. Cut threads. They also have a thick head like original. They do have markings on the head, which is no big whoop. So what I'll do is I'll just take a bolt like this. This is just a nut that I've drilled the threads out of. I'll chuck in the lathe just to center it. I'll mark the bolt to the length. These are 1 3/4, by the way. And an 1 5/8 bolt like this is impossible to find. So I'll mark it where I want to cut it. Cut it with a cutoff wheel. Face the end of it with the lathe and just kind of roll the edges just like this. So now it's the proper length. Actually, that's not the bolt that I did. Here's one I did. So I've cut it, faced it, rolled it. The next step is I'll come over here in my belt sander and knock off the markings off the head. Then I come over here. I love this thing right here. It's just a generic buffer. I have a buffing wheel on one side. This thing is awesome. It's a Scotch-Brite wheel, like a Scotch-Brite pad, but it's on a wheel. And so I'll run the head over it to get rid of all the grinder marks from the belt sander. I'll also kind of smooth out the end of it here, so you don't see any machining marks. And last step, well, not the last step. This is just a fixture I've made, and it's got 5/16, 3/8, 7/16, ½ inch. I've drilled each hole to the exact length it needs to be, where I can just stick the bolt in here. These are hardened steel inserts. They're drill guides. And then all I'll do is I'll just go ahead and drill the cotter pin hole, which you can see right here. Then the next step is we'll come over here to this drill press, and I'll just grab some pliers and hold the bolt here. This is an oversized drill bit, and the purpose of that bit is, if you look at the original bolt, I'm trying to get my camera to focus here, it's not going to have just a drilled hole like that. It's going to have a chamfered hole, like how that, there we go, now it's focused. So that's just a standard drilled hole off of my fixture, and we'll use a larger bit and kind of chamfer it like it would have been originally. Then I'll run it in out of a 1/2-20 nut just to kind of clean the threads up, and it's done. The next step is we send plating out every week, you know, so like there's a bin that's going black oxide, this bin's going cadmium plating, that's going zinc. Since this is going to have to go black, it'll go in the black oxide bin. As you can see, I send a lot of stuff off. Then once this bin or any of these bins come back from plating, we'll have to sort it all out and put it in a kit. It's a lot of work for one bolt, and that particular kit takes 4 of them. Sorting's really a pain because all our distributor rebuilds, everything that we rebuild here, steering gears, that's for a steering gear rebuild. These are obviously for distributors. All this stuff we send off and have plated, and when it gets back here, we have to sort through all of it. That's the process. It's kind of a pain in the butt, to be honest, but it's fun. It's enjoyable. It's a lot of work for one kit, but the cool thing is when it's done, you'll have a bolt just like this, which is, it's kind of got dirty on me. It's got metal shavings on it. It'll be just like original. Hope you guys have a good night and kind of understand how we do this, and we do all kinds of funky things here. These are, for example, starter. These are generic bolts I buy off the shelf. Same deal, grind the heads. I have to cut these shorter. Then I have to take the lathe. This is a good example of rolled, actually these are cut threads. I have to take the lathe and shorten the shaft down to about here. These are starter motor bolts. I'm trying to think, another one that I did tonight that's in one of these bins. I don't remember which bin it's in. Is speedometer gear bolts. Here's one. So if you've ever taken the original car apart, you've noticed the speedometer gear has a slotted hex bolt. And that's what we do there. We take the actual bolt that it takes, which in this case is a 1/4-28 by 1/16, or excuse me, 1 inch, not 1/16 bolt. And all we have to do to this bolt is put this slot in it. It's kind of a lot of work just for a kit that we sell for $3, but we do this particular bolt by putting it in the milling machine here, clamping it up, adjusting the chuck to where it needs to be, and then using a slit and saw to actually put the screwdriver slot in it. So for you guys that kind of are curious, that's how we do it. Have a good evening.